So let's get started once again by making a brand new page from scratch. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to Pages. Now, for those of you, again, that are new to WordPress in general, it's very important to understand the difference between a page and a post. Pages don't have categories. Posts do. I'll talk about categories in depth in a subsequent video, but I just want to share that technique with you. A post would be for doing things on a regular basis. Pages are something that you're not going to add every week. You're not going to add new pages, but you can add new posts for thoughts or products or op-eds or any kind of information, news, events, etc., etc. That's a good use of posts. In this particular case, we're going to create a new page. And we'll simply call this page Working with Page Templates. And I'm not paying attention, so if I misspelled something, I will go back. I have to look at the keyboard when I'm typing. I'm a two-finger typist, so I publish that. Now, important step here. We talked about this in a previous video, but right now I assume there's nothing on the page, but that's a bad assumption because this is going to be dependent on how your default layouts were set up. And again, I'll go through that in general settings in another video series. More importantly, I'm going to update that and preview changes. So I preview the changes, and keep in mind there's nothing on the page, but I'm going to see this because I have my default footer on the bottom and I have my default header at the top. Now again, this is my plain templates. Yeah, of course. It's a series on how to work with templates. That's it. That's the ticket. Yeah, that's the ticket. I'm going to update those changes. Now, here's the thing I want to focus on. Working with page templates. Now, I'm referring this information right here. Page templates. I have all these different types of page templates that I could work with. I can get started with literally a blank page, and it will do just that. There'll be nothing else on the page but the content that you currently created. 100% with page, a portfolio grid page. So let's just take a look at that as an example. Portfolio grid page, update the changes, and I come up here and I hit preview. So what I'm trying to share with you is if you don't pay attention to what you're doing, you're going to be totally miffed as to, wait a second, where did all this information come from? I didn't ask for any of this stuff, and all of a sudden I got all this stuff that I don't know what's going on. It's because that's the particular page template that you picked. So as an example, if I go back here under Edit Page, or actually let's make it a little less confusing. Let's just go back here to edit the page. You'll say, wait a second. There's nothing on this page, and even if you go down here, as I taught you in an earlier video, to say, okay, how is this set up? Do I have a header? Do I have a footer? Where's all that stuff coming from? Well, over here to the right is because you picked a portfolio grid. So you really have to be on top of that. In your practice, I'm not going to go through every single detail, but in your practice, take one step at a time with this. Now, something important I want to spell out for you is don't confuse these pre-built template page layouts with the template by default over here. One has nothing to do with the other. So this is the layout that it's going to use to populate your information. Kind of experiment with that. You'll see what I'm talking about, because otherwise I can spend hours just on that alone. So I just want to make that very clear that this information has nothing to do with this. But as an example, let's say that I picked this product launch page. Of course, it's going to delete any information that was on the page. So let's say I select this product launch page, which puts all this information from my product launch into the page. Okay, but let's say I wasn't paying attention, and over here I have let's pick FAQs. Okay, and I update those changes. Now I'm expecting to see my product launch page. And I come up here, and I'm going to be pleasantly surprised that I don't see anything close to my product launch page as far as the design goes. I mean, it looks like my content's there, but the layout is really kind of screwy. This is not what I expected. Now, the reason behind that, and here's something I want you to focus on. Here is my content, but how is that content being served up? Right now, the content was kind of wonky, if that's such a word, because it's just not, here's the content. Yes, the content that I asked for, but the page is not looking correct. It's because I don't have the correct template engaged. I'm using an FAQ template. So if I go to my default template, that's going to default to a template that's going to allow me to see the elements on my page in a correct manner, if that makes sense to you. So now when I come up here and I refresh the page, you'll see that all is right with the universe. So here's another suggestion that you may want to experiment with. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to delete everything on this page. Now the reason I did that, I'm just going to update these changes, is right now it's a blank page based on the template that I choose. So something that would definitely help you is to understand how these different templates, so I'm just going to pick as an example, let's go down here for a second. Let's go to site navigation, just to get an understanding of what that is. So I update that, and I preview changes. So don't be afraid to experiment with the different options, because that's how you get good at this stuff, taking it one step at a time, working with templates. Okay, working with template site navigation would take that and put that into a site navigation. Therefore, it's implied that that's site navigation for that particular layout. So I come back into here again, and let's take again. I have just this. There's nothing on the page other than whatever is down here set up by default. Okay, no slider, etc., etc. So if I come up here and let's just pick contact page. Let's update the changes and preview the changes. Okay, so I'm going to see contact information with a map on it. Okay, because that's what's set up by default in the contact page. And if you scroll down here, you'll see there's the form. Now, what it's going to use to send and submit the form is it's going to use your email address that you set up in your WordPress installation. But if you want to make this as a nice contact form with a map of your different locations, etc., etc., I will share with you in a subsequent video how to actually target those maps. So put your information in there. So experiment with your different ideas with your different page elements, but I think the easiest way to kind of get to know this environment over here is to have nothing on your page, just where you don't get confused with it. Also, I just wanted to point something out to you. According to Avada theme, the people who make Theme Fusion, the people who make the theme itself, this is actually the description for the default page, the contact page. If you want to freeze the video to read this, you can. But this gives a basic understanding of how those different templates work. Knowing your environment, knowing the difference between templates, page templates, and pre-built templates is a very important step in understanding the robust capabilities of the Avada theme. In our next video, I will go more into depth into working with sidebars, so stay tuned.